Hi, I'm Simon Buckinghamshire and I'm a member of the Ecosensus project team. Ecosensus is funded by the National Centre for E-Social Science, and you can find our website at this web address. In this quick screencast I'm going to introduce the Compendium concept mapping tool. Compendium is an environment for organizing information fragments such as documents, images, websites, emails, bits of text, any and ideas that you might have about how all these hang together. Although we won't go into great detail about this right now, Compendium will be used within Ecosensus in conjunction with a GIS, Geographical Information System, which is called UDIG, the User-Friendly Desktop Internet GIS. In GIS we can have a map of a region, such as the Rupununi River Basin that we're working with, and one can drag and drop in layers of icons to signify different kinds of entities within the region. These icons will then be linked to ideas and information and discussions within Compendium. Okay, let's quickly think about Compendium then. When you launch Compendium, you will have these two icons on the desktop. I've created these ones here already from UDIG, but we'll talk about that in another screencast. So within Compendium I'm going to create a new map, and I'm going to drag a map node off the toolbar, and a map is a bit like a folder. So we'll call this a map, and if I just hit the enter button that will open that up, and we have a new blank canvas. Now within this canvas I can do a number of things. I could bring in some documents from my desktop, so here's a Word document, and here's a PowerPoint show, and here's a folder, and the folder contains some images. So if I just drag that folder into Compendium, it creates a new map, and inside it you'll find the three images of that thumbs.db file. We can get rid of that, that's a Windows thing. But here we have the three images that were in my folder, but now they're here. And I can also turn off this button, and that means that when I roll over the image I get the full size version. So you could drag and drop in photos, screenshots, anything, any image that you might want to. Okay, well, why would we want to do something like that? Well, here we have a canvas with 3 nodes on it. This is stuff I'm trying to keep track of. I could organize these just into a little cluster to say, well, these are things that I need to come back to, and they're all kind of related, so I'll stick them all up there. Maybe I want to keep track of this slideshow because it matches some interest I have. When you click on a node, up here in the toolbar you'll find a tags toolbar. If it's closed, then you can just open it by clicking on it. And under there you'll find a number of tags which are like keywords which come with Compendium when you install it, but you can actually define your own ones as well by clicking on that T. So I could say, well, this slideshow is an open issue, and so it gets a little T, and now I can keep track of all open issues by doing a search for all nodes with that tag on it. So it's a bit like bookmarking on the web in websites like Flickr for keeping track of photos, or Delicious for keeping track of interesting websites. Okay, so I can organize things by clustering them. I can organize them by tagging them. I can organize them by drawing lines between them if I want to. So if I right drag off this icon and link it to that one, it creates a link. And I might give that link a name, such as is an example of, if I wanted to build a kind of concept map. Compendium also comes with a number of predefined links, and if you right click on the link you can change its type to one of these kinds of links, and these links are to do with arguments and discussions. and we'll show you how to use those a little bit later on. Okay, so you can link things by drawing lines between them. Compendium is, in one sense, really, it's a tool for keeping track of things and making connections between information and ideas. Let me show you one more way of making connections between things. Supposing this PowerPoint show is not only relevant to this map, which we called a map, but is also relevant in some other context. If I make a copy of it by right-clicking on it and selecting copy, or just doing Control-C, the Windows keyboard shortcut, I've got a copy of it. I'm going to create a new map here. I'm just going to, in fact, type the letter M, which creates a new map where my cursor is. And here is a second map. I'll open that, and you can see it's got the title here. And now I'm going to paste that node in that I made. So now we have this slideshow being discussed in two different contexts, or being stored in two different contexts. So you don't have to only store something in one place. You can very easily store it in multiple places just by doing copy and paste. And you'll see it has a number 2 on it now. And when I roll over the number 2, it tells me all the views that it's in. It's in a map and it's in a second map. And if I click on the hyperlink here, it'll open up this map and take me to that node. I'll just use the back button here. It's a bit like your browser back button, takes me back to where I just come from. And if I now edit this title, you'll see also that it instantaneously updates every other appearance of that node. Okay, so that's a way, for example, of making notes about something. If I right click on it and view its contents, then I can make some notes inside the detail here. Here is the detail frame where I can paste text of all sorts. You might even paste text in from a website or from a Word document or something like that. Okay. If I close that, it's now got a little asterisk on it, which gives me a preview of the content there. And of course, if I come back to it, its other occurrence, then it also has that detail inside it now. And clicking on that asterisk will just open up that node and show me the contents. You can see down here, this is where it's hyperlinking to that actual PowerPoint show. And double clicking on that, I should have shown you that, I suppose. Just double clicking on one of these nodes will just launch it and take me into that show. Okay. Supposing there was an interesting website as well. So here's a jolly interesting website. It's the Ecosensus site. I could just drag and drop that URL in here, and it makes a hot link straight to that website. Or of course I might find some very interesting text that I want to copy, so I could drag and drop that text off into Compendium. And it asks me if I want to just process it as plain text. Yes, I do. So I've got a little fragment of text here which allows me to keep track of it. That's quite a big amount of text there. So let me show you another quick trick, which is I could move all of that text from the label into the detail inside that node. So there, it's now inside the node. There's the little detail asterisk that shows it, and I could give that a short punchy description. Okay, so that's how you could bring in web resources as well. Okay, now the final thing I want to show you is how you could link these information resources with ideas. And you may have noticed that Compendium comes preloaded with a number of icons which you may find useful for capturing ideas. Okay, so imagine we've been looking at this terribly interesting website here, and we want to raise some issues about it. Okay, this could be a data set, or it could be a spreadsheet or a PDF or anything, of course, but let's imagine we want to raise some issues about this website. So I can drag and drop the question icon off the palette, and by right clicking and dragging I can hang some questions off this. So we might ask, how is this similar to XYZ website? And we might say, should we invite these people to our meeting? Okay, so these might be notes to yourself, or of course these might be questions that are coming up in a discussion. And I might then have some ideas to respond to that, and I can drag these ideas off. There's the light bulb icon for an idea, and we might say, well, they do X very similar to us, but we might have another answer that said they don't really do Y. Okay, and I'll link that. So you can see we've now got a little bit of a discussion coming out around this particular information resource. And what if somebody disagrees? Well, that's what these icons here are for. There's a pro and a con. So you could link a pro and say they do X very similar to us, and say, you know, I spoke to Fred last week, who leads the project. Okay, so there's some evidence to support that claim. And similarly, we could have a con here, and that might say, you know, Fred is just a public relations guy, they're not really doing this. Okay, so there's a counter interpretation of whether they do X or not. Okay, so this is called dialogue mapping, where you record issues, questions, ideas responding to these, and the pros and cons that may be relevant for helping us understand which is the best way forward or which is the best answer, and so forth. Okay. The other icons here are reference node. Well, reference nodes are actually the things you've already seen. This website is a reference node because inside it, if I right click on it, it's got a field for a reference, and it's a URL here, but it could be a Word document or a spreadsheet or a PDF. But when you create a reference node, before it has anything linked to it, it's just an empty icon like that. Double click on it and then you can go and point to some file. Or, as you've seen, you can just drag and drop the document straight on to Compendium. Okay, that's often the easiest way of doing it. Okay, well, that's probably the best place to stop right now. I'll just show you one final thing, which is that when you create a location point within your GIS environment, when you double click on that, it creates a node in Compendium, and that creates a map, a predefined map which we call a template. So this has been pre-populated with some questions that need answering. So this is another way of seeding a map, but not by capturing discussions that just happen in an unpredictable way, but by saying when we want to talk about a resource of this sort, we need to answer questions of this sort. What is the size distribution of floral species? What is the abundance of floral species, and so forth? And we call this a template. Okay, that's your lightning introduction to Compendium and how it can be used in the context of Ecosensus, and we hope you have fun playing with this.